Holy shit. 2.67 million homeowners are taking a forbearance? Hey homeowners, I'm Anant Deoras, your trusted eXp realtor here serving the city, and through my Leaving Chicago YouTube channel, I provide practical tips on if you're considering selling your home. And I'm going to provide the numbers. 2.67 million seems really daunting. However, I'm going to provide some context and clarity. We're going to be talking here how the mortgage forbearance will it impact home prices here in 2021. So before we go on and kind of talk about how the forbearance will affect home prices, let's define forbearance. So mortgage forbearance in the simplest terms is you and your loan servicer, not necessarily the person who owns your loan, but someone who is sending you your bills. You will agree to a predetermined term, and within that term, you have a temporary pause on your mortgage payments, which includes interest. So that could be, as you may know, a little refresher, the CARES Act was originally a 12-month forbearance period from March 2020 to March 2021 through March 2021. And in Biden's latest rescue plan via the governing body, they extended that 3 more months. So in essence, you could technically have up to 15 months. However, it's your loan servicer that determines how much is approved. And so during that period, you will have a pause on your payments while you hopefully get some employment. And of course, towards the end, you can, of course, reapply for another term, again, that needs to be approved by your loan servicer. So when we look at the actual numbers, I know I mentioned 2.67. Technically, obviously things are fluid. But the most recent data, we're actually at 2.61. So 2,610,000. You see a graphic coming up here. You can check it out. So that is the kind of definition of what that mortgage forbearance loan. It's almost like a loan forgiveness, again, for a predetermined amount of time. So you can get back on your feet. Hopefully, if one of you, if your spouses or whatnot lost their job, hopefully you can get employed and then get off that plan. So you're probably running, well, Anant, listen, I'm okay right now. I'm a homeowner. Thankfully, right, you are employed, your family's safe. And I really have no worries about a forbearance. Why should it affect me? Well, in the simplest terms, again, I use that term a lot, supply and demand, right? So if a large percentage of these people in forbearance, when they're exiting it, don't have the income to keep up on their home and they're gonna have to leave their home, then of course the lender will have to start pre-foreclosure procedures. It's a judicial process here in Illinois, and therefore there would be a potential flood of supply hitting the marketplace. And as you've seen here, the reason why home prices are so good in Chicago and Chicagoland has been that lack of inventory. So of course that would affect you as a homeowner potentially thinking about putting your place on the market, affect your eventual sale price. So let's kind of dive deeper in those numbers. It seems a little bit scary. Now you understand what forbearance is, you understand why it's important. Let's look at the numbers. So of those overall 2.61 roughly million, almost half have an exit strategy and are either getting reemployed or they're working with their servicer. Another 35% have a modification in place and are in, I guess, what lack of a better term, safe zone. Is really that 16% you see from this graph that are the ones we really need to focus on. And of course, this is from a period of forbearance exits from June 7th, 2020 through March 7th. So pretty recent data. So the great news is of the 100%, we were talking almost 85%, 86%. It's really that 16% that could potentially hit the market. So really, although the concept of forbearance eventually reaching to the foreclosure state could potentially affect home prices, and it's not going to really cause a crash, we may have a softening if that 16% hit all the major metros. And of course, I want to be very clear, that is 16% throughout the nation, not just in Chicago. So of that, there's a percentage, and you can reach out to me and I can provide you that percentage. So really, it's not as doom and gloom. It's something to look at, but that's the great news is where there's a lot of people who were struggling. At the end of the day, that have been helped, and now we just need to focus in on those 16%, really help them out, and of course with the extension of another 3 months through June 30th, hopefully that will help them out. So that's a really, really important graph. So let's now talk about, okay, let's look at foreclosures as far as a graph, and we'll look at this in the next segment of where we're at with foreclosures, okay? Now that we're kind of on the subject of foreclosures, right, because it's really first forbearance, and if you really, when you're trying to exit forbearance, you don't have any other options and you've run out of forbearance options with, with your servicer, of course, the next step is that pre-foreclosure phase. Let's look at foreclosures kind of as an average, and I have a great graph coming up here. The last 3 years, 17, 18, 19, about 290,000 foreclosures. And as of now, the data most recent from the Fed, that's the source. I always have the source, folks, in the lower right-hand corner of the information I provide, these infographs. At 129, so we're about 131,000 short of the average. So we're really not in a crisis as it pertains to foreclosures. It's just, again, as we go month over month, and I'll definitely be doing another one of these type of videos in another 4 to 6 months to kind of see where we're at with those averages. So that's really, really the good news. So bottom line, home prices are good for now, but as I mentioned, that's 16%. We want to closely watch that. And of course, Chicago kind of lags. There's varying degree of diversity of housing stock, older homes. There could hit certain areas of Chicago harder. And of course, as I've mentioned, that could hit supply, and therefore if you have more supply, even though we have ferocious demand, that could affect home prices. So we're good for now. So let's now kind of go to as I always have, the Leaving Chicago question. Do you feel you have a loved one, your spouse or partner has lost their job? Do you fear that you may have to get one of these forbearance programs? And if you do, I want to be a resource. Please reach out first. Let me give you your options. A lot of homeowners don't know they have tremendous equity in their home. I want to have you see this final graph. Look at the percentages, very high percent, over 70% have over 20% equity in their home. You may not know. So let me let you know what your home could sell. And if you're in that situation where we need to put it on the market, let's do it. And so at least you can get some net proceeds and then find a home. You may not be able to buy another home. I can help you rent another home in Chicago or Chicagoland. Thanks so much for watching, folks. This has been How Will Mortgage Foreclosure Impact Home Prices in 2021? I hope you found the information beneficial. I am Anant Deoras, a local eXp realtor who can help you in Chicago and the Chicagoland. I have partners throughout the nation. If you're thinking of selling your home, I can help you there and then connect you with a great partner anywhere in the US of A. And before you go, I've got a couple videos to your left. I want you to watch how to sell your home fast. I've got a very simple process for you. And to your right, before you sell your home, you need to be able to prepare it. So watch my How to Prepare Your Home to get ready to sell in 2021. Take care.